Here's some breaking news coming in. Australia beat India in the second test. Australia win Adelaide test by 10 wickets. That's the latest breaking news that we're getting. Australia beat India in the second test and they win Adelaide test by 10 wickets. Australia has beat India in the second test and they win Adelaide test by 10 wickets. Australia level Border-Gavaskar series at 1-1. Australia crushed Rohit Sharma led India in the second test. Nikhil Naz is joining us live on the broadcast for more on this. Nikhil, Australia has beat India in the second test. How will the Indian batters seek to bounce back in the third test?
Chetna, third test still, about more than a week to go for that. But at the moment, I think they will have to look back and, do a entire post-mortem of what really happened in Adelaide. Because after that stunning victory that India got in Perth, you expected a better fight back. You, of course, knew that Australia will come back fighting, as they did, but not as one-sided as it's eventually turned out to be. If India got that win in Perth, which was one of their finest, this you'd have to say is as thumping a win that Australia have got in Adelaide as India got in the first test match in Perth. So it's been a very topsy-turvy sort of series so far. It's a 5-match series. We only had 2 test matches, but very topsy-turvy, lopsided encounters that we've seen. I don't think that after that victory in Perth, anyone expected the Indian batting to capitulate the way that it has done in this test match. There will be a lot of things to be looked at, whether, Indian batters were, found wanting against that moving ball. You knew that, pink ball wasn't going to be easy to negotiate. Having said that, India has also had some sort of experience in pink ball cricket, so you expected a better batting performance. But there is a reason why Australia have never lost a pink ball test match in Adelaide. And I think that reason was pretty evident here in this game where they dominated. Starting day 3, India were, with their backs against the wall. Not too many people were giving them any sort of chance. So you thought that maybe some sort of a fight back with Rishabh Pant, Hitesh Reddy on the crease. Maybe India, if they can give Australia a target of about 100, 150, they could have been in the game. But that wasn't to be. A target of 19 was never going to be a challenge for this Australian team. And I think that's where you'll have to look at, India's batting performance. That's going to come under scrutiny. Your bowlers bailed you out in that first inning in Perth. But this time, as you're seeing clearly, the batting has failed once again. And your stalwarts not getting runs. I think the biggest difference between India and Australia in this test match was one man, Travis Head. He gets that 140, completely takes the game away from India. And you expect a knock like that from a Travis Head in tough testing conditions. And you expected the same thing from some of the stalwarts in Indian batting, the likes of Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli in that batting lineup. But unfortunately, in both innings, these 2 stalwarts failed to get any sort of runs for India. And once your big guns don't fire, you don't stand a chance against a team like Australia. And as I mentioned, a team that has never lost a pink ball test match in Adelaide. You needed to come up with a better batting performance. And I think that's the major issue. Going into the next test match, you'll have to look at, but what is it that you can do? It's not that you're carrying a lot of reserves in terms of batters. So even if you make a change or 2, your batter still, your mainstay of the Indian batting will have to step up. A Shubman Gill, a Virat Kohli, a Rohit Sharma, as I mentioned. Some of these batters will have to get you a lot of runs. KL Rahul, for that matter, they reposed faith in him. He opened in the last game, so they said, okay, let's open with him in another game. But unfortunately for him, in this test match, both innings weren't really a standout performance from him. So multiple batters, big names, all right, but you need to get runs to win a game in Australia. And that's unfortunately something that the Indian team couldn't do.
That's right. Will Mohammad Shami be available for the third test in Brisbane, Nikhil?
Not quite. I don't think so, Chetna. I know that there are talks about, rushing Mohammad Shami back and getting him to bolster the Indian bowling lineup. While of course Shami is a proven performer, a star, and India would really be happy if he can join back. But what I'm getting to hear is that probably by the 4th or the 5th test he'd be available. But then that begs the larger question: if there is one bowler who's injured, Does that mean that the Indian bowling cannot really step up onto the plate? I don't think that should be a scenario. Indian cricket prides itself on the fact that we've got massive bench strength, that we can field about 2 to 3 international teams at the same time. So if you're going to be talking about that bench strength, one bowler missing, can that be the reason that India is not doing well? I don't think so. And if that is the case, then it doesn't augur well for the bench strength of the Indian team. So I think you've got the resources. They made a couple of mistakes, I still believe, in terms of their team selection. Nitish Reddy as an all-rounder, while he's had a good time with the bat, I don't think Nitish Reddy is the kind of bowler that can get you wickets. So that's one problem area. You've gone with Harshit Rana, not really tested in red ball cricket, but you've gone with him because he's that tall, hit the deck sort of a bowler that got you excited. So you've gone with him. But I still think you have someone like an Akashdeep in the reserves who can get the ball to move, would have been far more handier than a Harshit Rana. So you made a few selection mistakes. Yes, Shami back would be a great thing, but I don't think you should just rely on a Shami back. If the Indian team cannot, with the resources that they have, win a test match, then there are going to be serious question marks over it.
Rohit Sharma moved down the batting order failed. So what's next for him?
Chetna, sorry, I didn't get the first part of your question.
I'm asking, Rohit Sharma's move down the batting order failed. What's next for him?
Rohit Sharma, I think you're talking about, because I could not hear properly, but yes, he did move down in the batting order. I think there were 2 reasons behind it. And to begin with, I don't think, it was necessarily a bad call. One, because KL Rahul had done well in negotiating the new ball in the Perth Test match. So you didn't want to break that momentum of having a Rahul Jaiswal open, which, served you very well in Perth. So you continued with that. So there was logic. Plus, Rohit Sharma missed the first Test match because of the birth of his second child. So he was coming off fresh. Would have needed some time to get used to Australian conditions. So I think it was a sensible decision to get him down to the middle order. But the troublesome signs were the way he's batted. So in those 2 innings, he's looked all at sea. Feet not moving. It's okay. A batter can fail. Runs don't come by for some time, as it's not happened with Rohit Sharma. But you still, if he shows you signs that, listen, it's just a case of a bad patch and runs are around the corner, you can gauge that by looking at how confident a batter is in terms of his feet movement, in terms of his stroke play. But unfortunately, in Rohit's case, that's not what you're seeing. So runs not coming is another thing. But the way he's looked, as I said, like a cat on a hot tin roof. And I think that's the problem. What are the reasons behind it? Is it because of, too much of white ball cricket that he's been focusing on as captain? Remember, he won the T20 World Cup very recently and was one of the standout batters. So has he compromised his test technique to bolster his white ball batting? I mean, these are some bigger questions that he'll have to, look into. I know that too early to call in terms of this series as to how his series pans out, but the scanner is definitely on him because he's not had a great 2024 in test match cricket, averaging below 30 and has not looked very good or assured on the crease in the 2 innings that we've seen in Australia. What happens in the next test match, we'll have to wait and watch in Brisbane. Does he go back to opening? Does KL Rahul get dropped or KL come in the middle order? If you were to do it, it'll be a sign of panic. I don't know what the Indian team does. But whichever option you go by, whether it's KL opening, Rohit in the middle order or vice versa, just the manner in which the Indian batters are getting out doesn't inspire too much confidence.
Nikhil, help us understand, what's the difference between the 2 captains, Bumrah versus Rohit?
That's an interesting one. I know everyone's going to be drawing comparison with Jasprit Bumrah and how he captained in that Perth Test match. And because India won, and now the captain changed and India have lost this particular match. So there are going to be a lot of question marks. Should you have gone with Jasprit Bumrah? Interestingly, our cricket analyst in Mr. Border-Gavaskar, before this test match started, was of the opinion that, listen, if Bumrah has started the series, then you might as well continue with Bumrah as your captain going forward in this series. No point changing the captain. But I don't think that would have happened. I think Rohit Sharma was your regular captain. Jasprit Bumrah himself said after the Perth Test match that no, he doesn't see himself captaining the entire series. He's just filling in for Rohit Sharma. And Rohit does command a lot of respect when it comes to the entire team. They all treat him as the leader, as the captain. As I said, he's the one who's just led them to a T20 World Cup crown. So there was going to be no change in captaincy. This test match, I think there were a few questionable decisions. You could say that, became slightly defensive when Travis Head was, on the go in terms of his field placements. his batting form not really helping his confidence. Otherwise, team selection, the kind of team that you played also left a lot to be desired. So these are few question marks around Rohit Sharma's captaincy. Also, some game plans that the England team came with, or the lack of it, especially against Travis Head. That's something that the captain has to lead from the front. The entire world knows that to get Travis Head out to begin with, you need to pepper him with some short pitch deliveries. And that's something that we saw the Indian bowlers unable to do, or at least not implement that plan. So these were a few questions that did arise after the loss in Adelaide, and questions that we asked of Rohit Sharma. But I think to not have Rohit as the captain was unthinkable. I think he would have continued, and I'm sure he's going to continue as captain in this series. But such is the nature of Indian cricket. You lose a test match and the fingers point at the captain. But then if you win a test match or two, then your captain becomes the biggest hero. It is, I'd still say that it is going to be a big test for Rohit Sharma, the batter, and the captain. It could really decide where his career goes from now. He's not getting any younger. Whether he can push his career for a couple more years, or is it the last of Rohit Sharma in Test cricket? Those are questions that will come up. But I think once the series is over, there's still 3 test matches to be played.
Nikhil, last few questions. Will the team management seek to bring in Jadeja in the playing 11?
Would that have made too much of a difference if Jadeja played this match? I don't think so, Chetna, because you went with that one spinner in R. Ashwin. Again, I don't think that was the problem area. In the pink ball test match, you needed some sort of seam movement, and so you had to go in with more fast bowlers than spinner, and one spinner would suffice. I mean, one could pick Jadeja as that spinner, somebody else would pick Ashwin. That would just be a very close call. So either ways, you play Ashwin or Jadeja, I don't think would have made too much of a difference. In fact, Ashwin bowled very well in this test match, only that the conditions weren't very conducive to spin bowling. So I think that was the only thing. Would Jadeja have made much of a difference? I don't think so. I think where they faltered was in their selection of fast bowling. As I said earlier, Harshit Rana hit the deck bowler. Maybe at Perth was a right decision to go with a bowler like that, but not in Adelaide. In Adelaide, you need a bowler who can get some lateral movement, who can get some seam movement, and you have a bowler like that in Akashdeep. He's done well in the limited time that he's played Test cricket for India. And as you saw, when Harshit tried to even get that, he tried to go to his plan B, not to the hit the deck bowling, but go to plan B and really pitch the ball up to allow some sort of movement. He wasn't really successful with that. So in that sense, he's not that kind of a bowler. That's the one mistake you made in your bowling rather than spinners. The other is Nitish Reddy, you're playing primarily because you think he's a fast bowling all-rounder, and he's done well with the bat. But can Nitish Reddy be the bowler who will pick you wickets? I don't think so. So if you're going to treat him like a batter and play him, that's all right. But at best, the only role he can perform as a bowler is to allow some sort of rest for your rest of the fast bowlers. And this comes in to bowl 3-4 overs to allow some rest for Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. That's the best that you can use him for. Can you use him as a frontline bowler to get you wickets? I don't think so, which is why I think the better call would be to look at a Sarfraz/Jurel/Nitish Reddy and pick one of them as a pure batter. Whoever you think is going to do the job for you. Do not look at it as, okay, because Nitish Reddy is offering me a few overs, I'll go with it, but those few overs are not going to bear any dividends. So you'll have to look at it like that. I think those are the mistakes they made in their bowling. And also, of course, the first inning. So one, the selection of the bowlers and the way they bowled in that first inning of Australia, I think they just did not get their plans right. Everyone in world cricket knows that in pink ball games, you have to have a different line and length. But India continued to bowl the line and length that you bowl in Perth because that was successful there. The ground had changed. Australia realized it. They've played plenty of pink ball cricket. And Mitch Starc, the standout performer, actually showed you the lengths that are needed in Adelaide. India only realized it, but by that time, the ship had sailed. By that time, Travis had got plenty of runs. So these are things that they need to look at rather than, if a Jadeja comes in or not. And that's the difference.
Right. Thanks, Nikhil, for bringing us all those details on that story. Adelaide, Australia has beat India in the second test. And that's what we know.